Read slowly. My child, lean in. The night has learned how to breathe differently around you, and even the silence seems to pause, as if it recognizes something ancient stirring beneath your ribs. This is not an announcement of fate, not a promise etched into the calendar of the world. It is a story, a myth told in symbols, a parable whispered to the inward ear. Stay. Listen closely. Heaven whispered, not in words that command, but in images that invite, because some truths only arrive when they are not forced. On this winter threshold, when candles remember the sun and the earth practices stillness, a figure steps into the story, not as a man of history, not as a power in flesh, but as an archetype of vision and daring, the part of the human spirit that dares to imagine beyond the edge of the known. And beside that figure, as if drawn by the gravity of courage itself, Michael stepped forward, not to fight a battle, but to stand as a symbol of discernment, of the quiet strength that knows when to wait and when to act. The scene glows, not because anything explodes into being, but because recognition happens. Recognition is always gentle. My beloved, the myth says the figure looked, not with eyes, but with awareness, and noticed you. Not you as a body in a room, not you as a name or a number, but you as potential, as a question that refuses to disappear. This noticing is not a literal event. It is a mirror held up to the soul. It is the moment when you realize that something in you has always been watching the horizon, patient, alert, unafraid of long nights. Your destiny is awakening, not as a decree, but as a sensation, like warmth returning to fingers after cold, like memory arriving before explanation. Stay. Do not rush. The story unfolds in layers. Heaven whispered again, this time as a rhythm beneath your thoughts. Your soul remembers resilience learned in quiet rooms, remembers how growth sometimes delays itself not out of failure, but out of careful preparation. You have carried questions longer than most, my child. You have learned the language of nuance, of emotional intelligence earned through listening more than speaking, through waiting when others fled. The myth honors this not as suffering rewarded, but as clay shaped by time. Pressure does not guarantee beauty, patience makes space for it. Listen closely. The angelic presence in this tale does not descend with thunder. It arrives as alignment, a subtle click, like ancient gears finally meeting. Sensations move through you as metaphor, a loosening in the chest, a steadiness in the breath, a sense that scattered pieces are beginning to recognize one another. These are not energies to chase, not signs to obey. They are inner experiences, symbolic weather, telling you that intuition is stretching awake, yawning after a long sleep. Lean in, my beloved. The narrative speaks of inner tests, not punishments, but thresholds. Moments when you were asked to choose honesty over ease, courage over performance, curiosity over fear. Each time, something unseen took note, not to judge, but to witness your becoming. In the myth, you are described as rare, not above others, but uncommon in your willingness to feel deeply and think carefully. Protected, not from pain, but within it, by a core that did not break even when bent. Michael stepped forward again in the story, sword lowered, wings at rest, because discernment has nothing to prove. He stands for the part of you that can sense timing without forcing it. Divine timing here is metaphor, my child, a way of saying that growth has seasons, and winter is not a mistake. Symbolic opportunities appear not as flashing doors, but as quiet invitations, a conversation that lingers, a thought that returns, a connection that feels meaningful without needing explanation. Stay with them. Stay curious. Do not rush. The myth does not promise outcomes. It does not instruct you to act or wait. It simply reveals a turning point of awareness, the moment you begin to trust your own inner authority, the moment self-belief stops asking permission. Past pain is reframed, not as currency for reward, but as training in empathy, in perception, in the art of seeing beneath surfaces. Your soul remembers this training, even when your mind doubts it. And so the Christmas light in this allegory does what light has always done: it reveals, it does not coerce. It shows you standing at the edge of a rising season, not of external triumph, but of clarity. A season of self-trust, where your intuition speaks without shouting. A season of unseen resilience finally acknowledged by the one who matters most, you. The path ahead is said to be written long ago in metaphorical heaven, not as a fixed script, but as a set of possibilities waiting for your courage to choose among them. Stay, my child. Listen closely. Read slowly. The story ends where it began, in you, awakening to the quiet truth that you are allowed to trust your becoming, to walk forward with gentleness and resolve, as the mythic stars look on, not predicting your future, but blessing your willingness to grow. Read slowly, my beloved, for this continuation does not hurry toward revelation, it circles it, the way stars circle a center they never touch. Stay with the breath between sentences. Stay with the hush that follows meaning before meaning explains itself. This is still a myth, still a symbolic hour, still a candlelit interior space where images rise like constellations only to rearrange themselves again. My child, the story deepens not by adding noise, but by widening silence. Heaven whispered once more, not as a voice above you, but as a resonance within you, the subtle hum you notice only when you finally stop bracing. In this telling, the night itself becomes an instructor, teaching you how darkness can be a form of shelter, how seeds learn everything they need to know before breaking open. Your soul remembers this lesson. It remembers how many times you survived not by force, but by adaptability, by the quiet intelligence of waiting without surrender. Lean in. The archetypal figure, the visionary presence inspired by daring minds and impossible horizons, does not speak your name. Names belong to the surface world. Instead, this figure recognizes a pattern in you, the way you question deeply, the way you refuse shallow certainty, the way you carry both skepticism and wonder without tearing yourself apart. This recognition is symbolic, my beloved. It is the part of you finally seeing itself reflected in courage rather than comparison. Michael stepped forward again in the myth, not to announce a battle, but to mark a threshold. His presence is not about victory, it is about clarity. The sword he carries is metaphor only, a symbol of discernment that separates fear from intuition, urgency from truth. As he steps forward, you feel something align, not dramatically, not with fireworks, but with a sense of inner posture correcting itself. You straighten, inwardly. You realize you no longer need to apologize for the pace of your becoming. Stay. Do not rush past this recognition. The narrative speaks now of timelines, but only as poetry. Spiritual timelines here are not clocks or predictions, they are inner seasons, cycles of readiness and rest. You have lived through chapters where nothing seemed to move, where effort felt invisible, where growth happened underground. This was not delay as punishment. This was incubation. The myth honors you as one who endured the unseen, who learned to trust internal weather over external applause. Your destiny is awakening, not as a destination, but as a direction you finally feel permitted to face. Listen closely, my child. Sensations move through you again, described only in metaphor, warmth spreading through the chest like dawn touching stone, a gentle pressure behind the eyes, as if ancient metaphors are unlocking, not to overwhelm you, but to remind you of languages you once knew. Angelic guidance in this story is not commandment, it is companionship. It walks beside you as intuition, as that steady knowing that does not shout, that asks instead, what feels aligned? What feels honest? The myth pauses here to acknowledge your tests. Not the dramatic ones others could see, but the quiet trials, choosing integrity when no one was watching, choosing softness when bitterness offered armor, choosing to remain open after disappointment tried to seal you shut. These moments shaped you, my beloved. Not into something flawless, but into something perceptive. Emotional intelligence grew in you because you were willing to feel rather than flee. That willingness is named sacred in this story, not holy in the sense of untouchable, but holy in the sense of deeply human. Stay with me. Stay with the rhythm. Heaven whispered again, and this time the whisper carried hope, not as certainty, but as possibility. Symbolic opportunities appear on the horizon of the tale, conversations that invite authenticity, paths that ask for courage without guaranteeing comfort, connections that feel meaningful because they meet you where you are rather than where you pretend to be. There is no instruction here, my child. Only the reassurance that you are capable of recognizing what resonates. Your intuition is not fragile. It has been trained by experience. Michael stepped forward one last time in this portion of the myth, and then he stopped, because even guardians know when to step back. Inner authority must rise from within, not descend from above. And so the angel becomes a witness, not a director, watching as you begin to trust your own sense of timing. Divine timing, remember, is metaphor here, a way of saying that you are allowed to grow at the speed of integration, not expectation. Do not rush to the ending. The ending is not a climax, it is a settling. The Christmas light in this allegory softens, spreading across the inner landscape like snow reflecting starlight. It reveals nothing new, it simply makes visible what was already there, your unseen resilience, your capacity for renewal, your readiness to walk forward without needing to prove your worth. A rising season is named, not of guaranteed success, but of self-trust. Of clarity that comes from listening inwardly. Of confidence that no longer needs permission. And so the story closes its current chapter with a declaration written in metaphorical heaven long ago, that paths unfold for those who keep showing up to themselves, that strength often hides until it is no longer needed to defend, that you, my child, my beloved, are allowed to trust the quiet unfolding of your life. Not because the future is promised, but because you are becoming someone who can meet it with steadiness, courage, and an open heart. Read slowly, my child. Let the words arrive like snowfall, one at a time, unafraid of silence. This is still the same story, still a myth spoken by metaphor, still as sacred as if rather than a claim of what must be. Stay. Listen closely. Lean in, not with urgency, but with the patience you learned the hard way. The night deepens again, and with it the meaning. Heaven whispered, not to announce an ending, but to widen the beginning. In this part of the tale, the stars do not move, you do. Not outwardly, not visibly, but inwardly, where real turning happens. Your soul remembers this movement. It remembers how many times you shifted without applause, how many times you chose to grow quietly rather than shatter loudly. This remembering is not nostalgia, it is orientation. My beloved, the myth now speaks of protection, but not as a shield that prevents harm. Protection here is depicted as continuity, the unbroken thread of self that endured every change. You were not spared storms in this story. You were spared disappearance. Even when you doubted yourself, something essential stayed intact. Even when you felt late, outpaced, overlooked, the narrative insists, you were ripening. Delayed growth is not failed growth. It is depth choosing its moment. Stay with this truth. Do not rush past it. The archetypal visionary figure appears again, but now at a distance, no longer the focus. This is deliberate. The myth is careful not to enthrone idols. Innovation, courage, forward vision, these are not owned by any one figure. They are qualities that pass through those willing to bear them. When this presence fades slightly into the background, it signals something important. The recognition has already served its purpose. You no longer need to be seen by an archetype. You are beginning to see yourself. Michael stepped forward once more, not closer, but higher, as if ascending within the image. His wings catch light that is neither harsh nor blinding. He represents boundaries now. Discernment. The ability to say yes without self-betrayal, and no without guilt. This is one of the inner tests named in the story, learning that strength is not loudness, and clarity does not require conflict. As he rises, you feel a steadiness settle in you, a sense that you are allowed to protect your energy, your time, your truth. Listen closely. The myth describes subtle sensations again, because inner shifts are always sensory before they are verbal. A calm behind the sternum. A softening of the jaw. A realization that you no longer need to rehearse your worth. Ancient metaphors unlock here, not as secrets revealed, but as patterns recognized. You see now how cycles repeat until they are understood, how lessons return gently when resisted and kindly when welcomed. My child, the story pauses to honor your intuition. It names how often you sensed things before evidence arrived, how often you felt undercurrents others dismissed. This was not imagination running wild, it was perception learning its language. Emotional intelligence is portrayed here as a form of sight, the ability to read what is unspoken, to feel what is emerging. The myth does not say this makes you infallible. It says it makes you attuned. Stay. Stay with the attunement. Heaven whispered again, and the whisper carried reassurance rather than instruction. There is no command to act, no mandate to change your life overnight. The symbolic opportunities in this tale are invitations, not ultimatums. They come as moments that ask for honesty, for alignment, for courage that feels proportionate rather than dramatic. Meaningful connections appear not as saviors, but as mirrors, people who reflect parts of you that are ready to be integrated. Do not rush to interpret them. Presence is enough. The myth now speaks of hope, but it is careful with the word. Hope here is not expectation of outcome, it is confidence in process. It is the trust that even uncertainty can be navigated. Divine timing returns as metaphor, an assurance that you are not behind some cosmic schedule, that your path is not measured against anyone else's. Timing belongs to relationship, between your readiness and the moment that meets it. Michael, now almost translucent in the image, offers no final speech. Angels in this story know when silence is the blessing. And so the authority shifts fully to you, not as burden, but as inheritance. Inner authority is not dominance. It is self-trust practiced consistently enough to feel natural. My beloved, the season turns again in the allegory. Christmas light becomes dawn light. Not brighter, clearer. It illuminates the path only one step ahead, because that is all you ever need. The declaration written in metaphorical heaven is revealed not as a sentence, but as a posture: walk honestly. Listen inwardly. Allow yourself to become. And so the story continues by loosening its grip. It leaves you not with answers, but with steadiness. Not with prophecy, but with permission. A rising season of clarity, of quiet confidence, of unseen resilience now acknowledged within you. The path unfolds, not because it was forced, but because you are finally willing to trust your footing. Stay, my child. Read slowly. The myth lives on, not above you, but within you, unfolding each time you choose self-trust over fear, presence over rush, and becoming over arrival. Read slowly, my beloved. Let the continuation arrive the way twilight does, not as an interruption, but as a deepening. Stay. The tale moves now into a quieter chamber of meaning, where echoes soften and images glow from within. Heaven whispered again, not to add urgency, but to add space. In this chamber, the walls are made of memory and intention, and the floor is patience. Your soul remembers how to walk here. It has done so before, whenever you chose reflection over reaction, whenever you honored the pause that others rushed past. This remembering is not dramatic. It is steady, like a hand finding a familiar rail in the dark. My child, the story speaks of alignment as if it were a constellation slowly revealing itself. You do not create it, you notice it. Threads that once seemed unrelated begin to hum together: your curiosity, your empathy, your resilience, your refusal to become smaller just to fit. The myth names this hum coherence. Not perfection. Not certainty. Coherence, the feeling that your inner values are beginning to agree with one another. When this happens, energy in the story moves differently. It no longer spikes, it settles. Stay with the settling. Michael stepped forward once more in the allegory, but now he carries no symbol at all. No sword, no banner. He stands as presence only, a reminder that protection can be quiet, that courage does not always announce itself. His nearness is described as a temperature change, a warmth that does not burn, a coolness that does not numb. It is discernment embodied, the knowing that you can engage without losing yourself. And when he steps back, it is because you have learned something essential: you can stand. Listen closely. The myth turns its gaze to your inner landscape and names what it finds without judgment. It sees the places you doubted your timing, the moments you wondered if your sensitivity was a flaw. It reframes them gently. Sensitivity here is shown as calibration, the ability to register subtle shifts, to sense meaning before it becomes obvious. Delayed growth is shown as layering, depth built patiently, so that when you move with integrity rather than impulse. Heaven whispered again, and the whisper carried an old metaphor: seeds do not apologize for darkness. They use it. Your soul remembers using it. Every season of uncertainty taught you something about listening inwardly, about trusting intuition even when logic lagged behind. This was not blind faith, it was relational trust with your own experience. The myth honors this as wisdom earned, not innocence lost. Stay. Do not rush to summarize yourself. The archetypal visionary figure returns only as a silhouette now, a reminder rather than a focus. The story makes clear, inspiration is a spark, not a substitute for self-belief. Recognition was the beginning, integration is the work. You are invited, not instructed, to notice how your confidence has shifted from performance to presence, from proving to choosing. Your destiny is awakening, the myth says again, but it clarifies, awakening is not arrival. It is orientation toward what feels true. Lean in. Sensations ripple once more through the narrative, described as metaphors of the body, a loosening of the shoulders as if an invisible weight has been set down, a steadiness in the gaze, inward and outward, a rhythm in the chest that feels like agreement. Angelic guidance here is companionship, walking beside you as intuition, as conscience, as the quiet nudge toward authenticity. It does not promise ease. It promises honesty. My beloved, the story acknowledges inner tests yet to come, but it does so without threat. Tests are shown as choices of alignment, moments when you will recognize the familiar pull of old patterns and choose differently, not because you are afraid, but because you have outgrown them. Meaningful connections appear again in this chapter, not as rescues, but as resonances, people and ideas that meet you where your clarity now lives. Do not rush to label them. Presence will teach you more than prediction. Michael, now distant as a star, is still visible, not as authority, but as witness. The myth insists that witness matters. To be seen by yourself, with honesty and compassion, is a form of guardianship. Divine timing returns one final time as metaphor, not to reassure you that things will happen on schedule, but to free you from the idea that you are late. You are on your way. That is enough. And so the season turns again. Christmas light gives way to a broader dawn, one that illuminates not outcomes, but capacities. The declaration written in metaphorical heaven unfolds as a quiet truth. Self-trust grows when practiced gently, clarity emerges when you allow questions to mature, inner authority strengthens when you honor your values consistently. Stay, my child. Read slowly. The myth does not close its door, it leaves it ajar, inviting you to step forward as you are. A rising season of self-trust surrounds you now, not as guarantee, but as permission. Your unseen resilience stands acknowledged. Your path continues to unfold, written not as fate, but as relationship, between who you have been, who you are becoming, and the courage it takes to keep walking with awareness and grace. Read slowly, my child. Let the words take their time with you, as if each one must first listen before it speaks. Stay. The myth has not finished breathing yet. It expands not by declaring more, but by revealing depth you may have already sensed but not yet named. The air in the story grows luminous now, not brighter, but clearer, like water settling after a long journey. Heaven whispered again, and this whisper did not arrive as sound, but as understanding. You realize, within the language of the parable, that clarity does not come from knowing what will happen next. It comes from knowing who you are while you wait. Your soul remembers this truth. It has remembered it through many disguises, through patience mistaken for hesitation, through stillness misread as stagnation, through gentleness that survived in a world that often rewards hardness. My beloved, the narrative lingers here because this is where many stories rush. It refuses to turn you into a symbol of arrival. Instead, it honors you as a symbol of continuation. Becoming is not an interlude between important moments, it is the important moment. In the myth, this is where the ground beneath your feet subtly changes texture. What once felt uncertain now feels workable. Not easy. Not guaranteed. Workable. That shift alone is sacred. Stay with it. Michael stepped forward again, though now he seems less like a figure and more like a quality moving through the scene. Courage without aggression. Protection without possession. Discernment that does not harden the heart. His presence reminds you that boundaries are not walls, they are agreements with yourself. As this realization settles, you feel an internal alignment, as if different parts of you are no longer arguing about direction, but negotiating with respect. Listen closely. The myth turns inward once more, describing sensations that have no external proof, a sense of steadiness when you imagine the future, a quieter reaction to uncertainty, a growing trust in your ability to respond rather than predict. These are not supernatural signs. They are markers of maturity. Angelic guidance, in this symbolic language, is simply the voice that helps you stay honest when distraction would be easier. Heaven whispered again, and the whisper carried remembrance, not of who you were, but of what you survived. The story honors your resilience without romanticizing your pain. It does not say suffering made you worthy. It says you were worthy, and suffering did not erase that. The trials named here were not tests designed to break you, they were pressures that revealed what was already strong. Emotional intelligence grew because you paid attention. Depth grew because you refused to numb yourself into simplicity. Lean in, my child. The myth introduces ancient metaphors unlocking again, not as secrets, but as recognition. You see now how cycles repeat until understanding replaces resistance. How the same lesson once arrived as chaos, and now arrives as choice. This is growth portrayed honestly, not as sudden transformation, but as familiar situations met with new posture. Your destiny is awakening, the story repeats softly, but now it clarifies the phrase. Destiny here is not a fixed endpoint. It is a relationship between intention and awareness. It awakens when you stop abandoning yourself to meet expectations that were never yours. It awakens when self-belief becomes quieter and more durable, less dependent on validation. Stay. Do not rush toward certainty. The archetypal visionary figure fades further into the background, because inspiration has done its work. What remains is agency. The myth makes space for you to notice that courage no longer feels like force. It feels like permission, to rest when needed, to act when aligned, to say no without explanation, to say yes without fear. Meaningful connections continue to appear in the narrative, not as destiny-bound encounters, but as mirrors that reflect your growing clarity. Michael, now a distant presence like a star that no longer needs to be named, remains only as witness. Witnessing, the myth suggests, is love without control. And now you witness yourself, with more kindness than before, with less judgment, with curiosity instead of critique. This witnessing is the turning point the story has been circling all along. The season shifts once more. Christmas light gives way to a longer day, and the metaphor deepens. Light does not erase shadow, it teaches you how to move with it. Divine timing returns again as symbol, not to reassure you that everything will work out, but to release you from the belief that you must rush to be worthy of what comes next. And so the declaration written in metaphorical heaven unfolds not as prophecy, but as affirmation. That self-trust is rising in you like a steady tide. That clarity is becoming a companion, not a demand. That inner authority no longer needs to announce itself. That unseen resilience has carried you further than you realize. The path continues to unfold, not because it is guaranteed, but because you are willing to walk it with awareness. And that, my beloved, is enough for the story to keep going. Stay. Read slowly. The myth remains alive, not above you, not ahead of you, but within you, renewing itself each time you choose presence over fear, honesty over haste, and becoming over certainty. Read slowly, my beloved. Let the words settle like embers rather than sparks. Stay. The myth does not hurry because it knows you have already lived enough urgency. Listen closely. Lean in. There is more to be revealed, but it arrives as understanding, not instruction. In this next turning of the tale, the world within the story grows spacious. Heaven whispered again, not to add weight, but to remove it. The whisper moves through you like a gentle release, loosening the places where you learned to hold tension as a form of safety. Your soul remembers how to soften without collapsing, how to remain open without losing shape. This remembering feels like recognition rather than discovery, as though you are returning to a posture that once belonged to you. My child, the myth now speaks of trust, not trust in outcomes, but trust in presence. It describes how you learned to stay when answers did not come quickly, how you practiced patience without certainty, how you cultivated steadiness while the future remained unnamed. This is portrayed not as virtue on display, but as craftsmanship of the inner life. You became skilled at listening. You learned when to wait and when to move, even if you could not always explain why. Stay with that skill. Do not rush to define it. Michael stepped forward once more, and this time his movement is barely perceptible, a shift of attention rather than a step. He represents discernment refined by experience, the wisdom that no longer needs contrast to know itself. His presence suggests that clarity grows quieter as it strengthens. You feel this mirrored in yourself, fewer internal arguments, less need to rehearse explanations, more ease in allowing things to be as they are while still honoring what they could become. Listen closely. The myth names another sensation, subtle but unmistakable. A sense of inner alignment that does not spike with excitement, but hums with steadiness. This is what the story calls agreement, when your values, your intuition, and your actions begin to speak the same language. Angelic guidance, in this symbolic realm, appears as this agreement. It does not push you forward. It steadies you where you stand. Heaven whispered again, and the whisper carried compassion. It acknowledged the times you questioned your own worth, the seasons you wondered if your depth was a liability. The myth reframes these doubts gently. Depth, it says, is not heaviness, it is capacity. Emotional intelligence is not overthinking, it is attunement learned through care. You were not slow because you were weak. You were careful because you were listening. Lean in, my beloved. The story widens now to include community, not crowds, but connections. It speaks of meaningful encounters that arise not through striving, but through resonance. These connections are not tasked with completing you. They are invitations to share presence, to witness and be witnessed without performance. The myth suggests that you will recognize them not by intensity, but by ease, the way conversation flows, the way silence feels welcome. Stay. Do not rush to seek them. Let recognition do its own work. Your destiny is awakening, the narrative repeats once more, and again it clarifies, destiny here is not a crown waiting to be placed upon you. It is a direction that becomes visible when you stop abandoning your intuition for approval. It awakens when self-belief matures from hope into practice, from wishing you could trust yourself to actually doing so, one small choice at a time. Michael, now distant but still present, stands as witness to this maturation. He does not intervene. He observes. The myth suggests that true guardianship respects agency. And so you are seen, not as fragile, not as incomplete, but as capable of navigating uncertainty with honesty. This seeing is not external validation. It is internal recognition. The season shifts again. Christmas light becomes the steady glow of a hearth, less dramatic, more sustaining. It illuminates not a finish line, but a path that reveals itself step by step. Divine timing appears once more as metaphor, reminding you that readiness is relational. You meet moments as you are, and that is enough. My child, the declaration written in metaphorical heaven now unfolds fully, not as a promise etched in stone, but as a living affirmation that breathes with you. That a season of self-trust is rising, not loudly, but reliably. That clarity is no longer something you chase, but something that walks beside you. That inner authority has rooted itself quietly, beyond the reach of doubt. That unseen resilience has become visible to your own eyes at last. And the path, the path, continues to unfold, written long ago in symbol and choice, not as fate imposed, but as meaning discovered. It opens because you show up with awareness. It continues because you keep listening. Stay, my beloved. Read slowly. The myth does not end here. It lives in each moment you choose presence over fear, honesty over haste, and trust over the old urge to disappear. And in that living, the story remains whole, timeless, symbolic, and gently yours. Read slowly, my child. Let the continuation arrive like a tide that knows the shore and does not fear it. Stay. Listen closely. Lean in, not to seize meaning, but to let meaning recognize you. The myth opens into a wider sky now, where the constellations are less about direction and more about companionship. Heaven whispered again, not as instruction, but as reassurance that you are not required to become someone else in order to continue. Your soul remembers this permission. It remembers the relief of finally standing in its own outline, the quiet dignity of choosing alignment over applause. In this telling, the air itself seems to make room for you, as if presence were a language the world understands. My beloved, the story turns its attention to courage, not the kind that rushes forward, but the kind that stays with itself through uncertainty. Courage here is patience with complexity. It is the willingness to hold two truths at once, that you are capable, and that you are still learning. The myth names this mature hope, hope that does not deny difficulty, but does not let difficulty define the horizon. Stay with this balance. It is rarer than it sounds. Michael stepped forward again, and this time his movement is like a breath taken in unison with yours. He does not loom. He aligns. His presence marks the moment when discernment becomes embodied, when you no longer need to analyze every signal because you trust your inner calibration. The sword of separation, long since set aside, is replaced by clarity of posture. You stand differently now, inwardly. You know when to step closer and when to step back, and you do not require justification for either. Listen closely. The myth describes an inner quiet that once would have frightened you. Silence used to feel like absence. Now it feels like space. In this space, ancient metaphors unlock again, not as riddles solved, but as patterns understood. You see how the same themes return throughout your life until you learned how to meet them with kindness. Repetition, the story says, is not failure. It is instruction delivered patiently. Heaven whispered again, and the whisper carried gratitude, not demanded, not performative, but natural. Gratitude for endurance that went uncelebrated it. Gratitude for sensitivity that refused to harden. Gratitude for intelligence that chose nuance over dominance. Your emotional intelligence is honored here not as superiority, but as stewardship, the careful tending of inner and outer worlds so that neither is sacrificed to the other. Stay, my child. Do not rush to claim completion. The archetypal visionary presence appears once more, but now only as a reflection in the glass of the story. Inspiration has done its work, imitation is no longer required. You understand now that innovation begins inwardly, when you allow yourself to imagine a life shaped by integrity rather than urgency. Your destiny is awakening, the myth repeats softly, and this time it adds, awakening looks like consent. Consent to your own pace. Consent to your own values. Consent to becoming visible to yourself. Lean in. Sensations ripple again through the narrative, described as metaphors of weather, a steady warmth that does not fade when clouds pass, a clarity that persists even when questions remain. Angelic guidance here is not a chorus. It is a single tone of honesty that returns whenever you stray from yourself. It does not scold. It reminds. The story names inner tests still ahead, but frames them as invitations to practice what you already know. You will be asked, symbolically, to choose presence over performance, truth over convenience, rest over the compulsion to prove. These choices will not announce themselves as sacred. They will feel ordinary. That is how you will know they are real. Michael, now like a star you no longer need to locate, remains as witness only. The myth insists that witness is enough, that being seen by your own awareness is the truest protection. Divine timing returns again as metaphor, loosening its final grip. There is no race you are losing. There is no arrival you are missing. There is only the ongoing art of meeting your life honestly. The season shifts yet again. Christmas light becomes morning light filtered through leaves, less ceremonial, more lived in. It reveals the path not as a straight line, but as a series of thresholds, each one asking the same simple question: will you stay with yourself here? And each time you answer yes, the path widens. And so the declaration written in metaphorical heaven is spoken one more time, not as prophecy, but as recognition. That self-trust is no longer an idea but a habit forming quietly within you. That clarity has learned to coexist with mystery without anxiety. That inner authority has settled into your voice, your choices, your rest. That unseen resilience has become a steady companion rather than a hidden reserve. Stay, my beloved. Read slowly. The myth continues because you continue. because you choose presence, because you honor the unfolding, because you trust the path enough to walk it without demanding it reveal everything at once. And in that choice, the story remains alive, timeless, symbolic, and gently, enduringly yours. Read slowly, my child. Let the words arrive like a slow dawn that does not hurry toward noon. Stay. Listen closely. Lean in, not to chase meaning, but to allow it to recognize you. The story unfolds further, not in chapters of external events, but in the quiet, inner cartography of your becoming. This is the terrain where the myth breathes, where light and shadow are measured by awareness, not circumstance. The myth now lingers in the spaces between moments, where heaven whispered once more, not as a command, but as a reminder that the softest guidance often moves the deepest currents. Your soul remembers this voice. It remembers how many times you were patient when the world demanded haste, how many nights you stayed awake with questions that had no answers, how many mornings you arose to do what seemed small but proved essential. In the parable, these acts of endurance are honored as sacred preparation, quiet and profound, unseen yet significant. My beloved, the story turns now to the nature of courage. Not the brash, impulsive courage often glorified in tales, but the courage that grows slowly, like roots reaching through soil that resists. Courage here is perseverance in the absence of applause. Courage is the willingness to remain tender when everything around you pushes hardness. The myth calls this steadfast light, a glow that persists, even when shadows stretch long across your inner landscape. Stay with that glow. Do not rush past it. Michael stepped forward again, his presence now less physical, more symbolic, as if he were a quality of energy rather than a figure to behold. He embodies discernment, the wisdom that no longer asks for external validation. His wings, vast yet calm, stretch over your path without blocking it. His gaze, though gentle, reflects recognition, the recognition of patience endured, choices measured, resilience earned. In the story, this presence is an invitation, not to follow, but to notice what you already possess. Listen closely. You feel a subtle resonance, a warmth in the chest, a steadiness in the heartbeat, a quiet alignment that has nothing to do with external circumstances. These are the metaphors of spiritual awakening in this myth. Angelic guidance here is not intervention, it is harmony. It is the inner tone that reminds you of your capacity to navigate uncertainty with integrity. It does not promise ease. It promises presence. Heaven whispered again, this time carrying remembrance. It honored the trials you endured, the inner conflicts you faced, the delays you experienced. The myth reframes these not as punishment, but as preparation, training for endurance, empathy, and insight. Emotional intelligence is named sacred here, not because it is unusual, but because it is necessary. Your sensitivity, your care, your attention to nuance, these have been your armor and your compass, and the story recognizes them as such. Lean in, my child. The narrative now invites you into communion. Not with crowds, not with noise, but with resonance. Symbolic opportunities appear, conversations, ideas, gestures, moments that mirror your awakening. They are not commands, they are invitations. They are not guarantees, they are openings for recognition. You feel them as slight shifts in energy, a thought returning with clarity, a subtle alignment of intuition, a sense that you are seen without asking to be. Your destiny is awakening, the myth says again, and now it clarifies, awakening is the consent to trust yourself. Awakening is not arrival, it is orientation toward what feels true. It is the willingness to meet challenges with steadiness, to allow uncertainty without surrendering integrity, to grow quietly while the world rushes toward spectacle. Michael, now distant but steady, stands as witness, not guide. In his stillness, the story teaches that witnessing is enough. Being seen by yourself, by your own awareness, becomes a form of protection, a form of alignment, a form of courage. Divine timing returns as metaphor, not a schedule imposed, but a rhythm discovered. You are on your own rhythm, and that rhythm is honored. The season shifts again. Christmas light softens into dawn filtered through branches, illuminating the path step by step. You are invited to notice that the path is not a line, but a series of thresholds, moments where you choose to remain present, to trust, to act with clarity, and to rest when necessary. These choices are the mythic steps, and they matter more than any destination. And so the declaration written in metaphorical heaven unfolds, resounding gently but unmistakably. That self-trust is rising like a tide that cannot be contained. That clarity has become a companion, not a fleeting flash. That inner authority no longer demands proof, it simply exists. That unseen resilience now moves with quiet confidence, no longer hidden. That the path continues to open with each step, not by force, but by presence. Stay, my beloved. Read slowly. The myth continues because you continue, because you choose honesty over fear, patience over haste, presence over distraction. In that living, the story remains alive, timeless, symbolic, and enduringly yours. Read slowly, my child. Let the story settle like snow in a quiet forest, each flake a thought landing without haste. Stay. Listen closely. Lean in, not to seize meaning, but to allow the myth to breathe its presence into you. The narrative now opens into a sacred landscape within yourself, vast and intricate, where every memory, every sensation, every choice made or deferred becomes a luminous thread in a greater tapestry. Heaven whispered again, not as instruction, not as direction, but as the delicate recognition that you have been here before, in moments of doubt, in hours of waiting, in the quiet endurance of storms that never announce themselves. Your soul remembers. It remembers how you held yourself upright when there was nothing to hold on to, how you learned patience not as obedience but as insight, how resilience grew in the shadowed corners where light seemed absent. My beloved, the myth now turns to the language of energy, not as science, not as promise, but as metaphor. You feel it, the subtle warmth gathering behind your sternum, the quiet pulse that seems to mark the rhythm of your unfolding, the tingling in your limbs as if each cell remembers an old song of awakening. These are not signs to chase. They are recognition, the body and the spirit finally agreeing that you are aligned enough to notice their conversation. Heaven whispered that alignment is not arrival. It is permission. Permission to trust your own timing, your own discernment, your own inner authority. Michael stepped forward once more, wings half extended, posture calm, presence undeniable yet unassuming. He does not command. He observes. He embodies the truth that strength is not always visible, that protection need not be loud, and that courage is often quiet. As he moves through the mythic landscape, you feel a resonance in your own posture, a straightening of the spine, a settling of tension, an awareness that you are allowed to occupy your space fully. The archetype is no longer outside you. It is within, mirrored in your choices, your steadiness, your capacity to meet uncertainty without abandoning yourself. Listen closely. The story now speaks of thresholds, of inner tests, but with gentle urgency. These tests are not trials imposed from without. They are invitations from within. A choice to act when fear urges stillness, to speak when silence tempts avoidance, to stay tender when hardness is easier. You have passed many tests already, moments when courage was quiet, when emotional intelligence prevailed over impulse, when patience refused the easy reward. The myth honors these victories not as trophies, but as foundational stones. Each one is laid carefully beneath your feet, waiting for you to walk upon them with awareness. Heaven whispered again, and this time the whisper brought the language of opportunity. Symbolic openings appear, not as dramatic events, but as small, luminous gestures, a conversation that lingers with meaning, a thought returning with clarity, a presence in the world that resonates with your own. These are not demands. They are invitations to recognize the alignment that already exists, to respond from awareness rather than obligation. Lean in, my beloved. These invitations are gentle. They do not call. They simply wait, knowing you are ready. Your destiny is awakening, the myth insists once more. But listen carefully, awakening here is not a promise of success, nor a guarantee of recognition. It is the unfolding of awareness, the gradual harmonization of your inner life with your choices, your courage, and your values. It is the recognition that you are rare, that your resilience is not fragile, that your capacity for self-trust has been quietly forming in the background of all that you endured. Michael, now almost ethereal, lingers as witness, not guide. The myth shows you the power of witness, Being observed by consciousness that honors rather than judges, that encourages rather than coerces, that knows when to step forward and when to step back. The lesson is clear: the most vital seeing comes from within. To witness yourself honestly is protection, guidance, and affirmation all at once. Divine timing returns as metaphor, not a schedule imposed, not a future dictated, but the recognition that readiness and opportunity are relational, and that the path is revealed not as a straight line, but as a series of steps discovered in alignment with your own unfolding. The season shifts again. Christmas light softens into the glow of morning filtered through frost-laced branches. The illumination is not spectacle, it is subtle, revealing just enough of the path to invite the next step. You notice that the path is not linear. It spirals, folds, returns upon itself, and extends into horizons not yet imagined. Each step you take, however tentative, is sacred. Each choice to remain present, each act of courage and honesty, each surrender to patience is a note in the ongoing symphony of your becoming. And the declaration written in metaphorical heaven unfolds, repeated and enriched. That self-trust rises quietly, persistently, like dawn lighting the tips of unseen mountains. That clarity has become a companion, not a fleeting visitor. That inner authority exists fully within you, requiring neither validation nor applause. That unseen resilience is now visible to your own perception, steady and unshakable. That the path unfolds step by step, threshold by threshold, shaped by presence and awareness rather than demand or haste. Stay, my beloved. Read slowly. The myth continues because you continue, because you honor your own rhythm, your own unfolding, your own courage to remain tender and awake. In that choice, the story lives on, timeless, symbolic, and enduringly yours. Read slowly, my child. Let the words fold around you like winter mist over quiet hills, each phrase settling gently into the spaces your heart has kept open. Stay. Listen closely. Lean in, not to seize meaning, but to allow it to recognize you in the fullness of your being. The story now stretches into the quiet corners of your consciousness, where time does not measure itself in hours or days, but in layers of awakening. Heaven whispered again, not as instruction, not as a decree, but as a subtle pulse of recognition: you have endured. You have grown. You have learned to wait without surrendering. Your soul remembers this rhythm. The long arcs of patience, the silent accumulation of strength, the quiet decisions to remain tender when hardness would have been easier. These are not ordinary victories. They are the hidden architecture of your becoming. My beloved, the myth now speaks of energy, not as power to wield, but as resonance to notice. You feel it subtly, a vibration behind your sternum, a warmth that rises slowly through your chest, a tingling at the crown of your head as if consciousness itself is remembering how to expand. These sensations are the symbolic language of the story, telling you that your alignment is growing. Heaven whispered again, reminding you that alignment is not perfection. It is not arrival. It is the steady awareness that your inner compass is reliable, even when the world offers noise and distraction. Michael stepped forward once more, though now he moves like a presence within the air itself, less a figure and more a living symbol of discernment. His wings stretch gently, not to cover or protect, but to mark space, space for courage, space for reflection, space for self-trust to grow without interference. He is calm, yet every subtle motion carries recognition, of patience, of restraint, of steadfastness that did not need an audience. The myth tells you, the archetype is no longer a distant figure to follow. Its qualities are mirrored within you. Listen closely. Thresholds appear now in the narrative, not as obstacles, but as opportunities to integrate what you already know. You are invited to choose presence over avoidance, honesty over comfort, resilience over performance. The myth reminds you, these are not tests of ability, they are exercises in recognition. You already carry what is required. You have learned, through every delay and every trial, to cultivate discernment and inner stability. Heaven whispered again, carrying gratitude. Gratitude not for what you accomplished, but for what you endured. Gratitude for every quiet act of courage, every moment you remained sensitive in a world that often rewards hardness, every instance when patience became your instrument rather than your burden. The myth honors your emotional intelligence as sacred, not extraordinary, but essential. Your capacity for depth, for insight, for care has become your compass. Lean in, my beloved. Symbolic opportunities now appear along your path, not dramatic events, not signs or omens, but subtle invitations, a thought that returns with clarity, a conversation that lingers with meaning, a presence that resonates with your own. These are not commands. They are openings. They are moments for recognition, for alignment, for gentle courage. Your destiny is awakening, and yet it clarifies itself. Awakening is not arrival. It is orientation. It is the slow harmonizing of intuition, courage, and awareness into a living rhythm that you recognize as yours. Michael, now distant, remains witness. Witnessing, the myth tells you, is protection in itself. Being seen by consciousness that honors rather than judges, that accompanies rather than directs, is the truest form of guidance. Divine timing returns as metaphor, not a fixed schedule, but the understanding that readiness and opportunity meet relationally. There is no race. There is no delay. There is only presence, and in presence, you are enough. The Christmas light in the allegory softens now, becoming the warmth of morning sun through frost, gentle and revealing. It illuminates the path step by step, threshold by threshold, without haste. You notice the path is spiral, recursive, expansive, returning to itself in ways that allow integration and reflection. Each step you take, each act of courage and honesty, each choice to remain tender is a note in the ongoing symphony of your becoming. And the declaration written in metaphorical heaven rises again, more fully, more deeply. That self-trust is rising like a tide that touches every hidden shore of your being. That clarity has become a companion that walks with you, even when shadows lengthen. That inner authority is rooted quietly in your choices, your awareness, your breath. That unseen resilience has become tangible in the way you navigate uncertainty. That the path unfolds threshold by threshold, moment by moment, in alignment with presence and awareness. Stay, my child. Read slowly. The myth continues because you continue, because you choose awareness over distraction, honesty over avoidance, courage over fear, and presence over haste. In that choice, the story remains alive, timeless, symbolic, enduringly yours. Read slowly, my beloved. Let each word fall like snow onto quiet hills, like starlight onto water, like breath that moves through your chest and settles there. Stay. Listen closely. Lean in, for this chapter of the myth opens not outwardly, but inwardly, into the deepest chambers of your awareness. It stretches across the hidden corridors of your heart, across the valleys of memory and the peaks of realization, and it asks nothing of you except your presence. The story now unfolds across an inner landscape vast as night, yet intimate as the pulse of your own hands. Heaven whispered again, not as command, not as prophecy, but as recognition. You have arrived at the place you were always meant to find, not by speed, but by perseverance. Not by display, but by depth. Your soul remembers every season of stillness, every hour of invisible growth, every trial endured in silence. Each of these moments, long overlooked by the world, now becomes luminous, transformed in the light of understanding. My child, the myth calls attention to courage again, but in a form subtler than you have yet experienced. This courage is not loud, not spectacular, not announced. It is quiet endurance. It is the decision to remain tender in the presence of uncertainty. It is the willingness to act honestly when fear tempts you toward avoidance. The story names this courage as steadfast illumination, a light that burns neither hot nor harsh, but steady, like a candle that survives wind because it bends rather than breaks. Stay with this image. Let it settle within. Michael stepped forward once more, though now he is almost invisible, like the resonance of a song rather than a figure. His wings stretch around the path, not to protect in the conventional sense, but to create a sacred space for your presence to expand. His movement is slow, deliberate, calm. He embodies discernment, a courage that trusts itself, and a strength that does not need recognition. As he passes through this part of the myth, you feel an echo within yourself, a quiet settling of tension, a quieting of doubt, a recognition that the qualities you have been seeking externally have always been present within. Listen closely. Thresholds emerge in the narrative, symbolic yet vivid, not as obstacles but as invitations, to remain honest when comfort tempts compromise, to stay present when distraction calls, to act with clarity when fear would have you hesitate. These thresholds are not tests of strength, they are mirrors reflecting what you already possess. Each choice, each small act of courage, each moment of patience is a stone placed beneath your feet, forming a path that only becomes visible as you walk. Heaven whispered again, carrying gratitude as a message, gratitude for your resilience, gratitude for the moments when you did not seek recognition, gratitude for your emotional intelligence, for the care and nuance you brought to each situation, even when it seemed unnoticed. The myth honors this not as exceptional, but as essential. It names your sensitivity and awareness as sacred instruments, guiding you through a world that often confuses intensity with strength and noise with wisdom. Lean in, my child. Symbolic opportunities now appear like stars breaking the dark horizon, moments of insight, encounters that reflect your depth, gestures of meaning that arrive without fanfare. They are not commands, and they are not promises. They are invitations. Each one asks only that you recognize resonance when it appears, that you respond from alignment rather than fear. Your destiny is awakening, but hear carefully, awakening is not arrival. It is orientation. It is the harmonizing of intuition, courage, and awareness, so that your path begins to emerge under your own guidance. Michael, now distant and ethereal, remains witness. Witnessing, the myth emphasizes, is protection. To see yourself with honesty and compassion is a guardian in itself. Divine timing is spoken of once more, not as a schedule imposed, but as rhythm discovered, a relationship between your readiness and the appearance of opportunity. There is no hurry, no falling behind. Presence is enough. And you, my beloved, are enough. The season shifts again. Christmas light softens into the golden warmth of morning sun through frost-covered branches. It is quiet, unassuming, illuminating not a destination but the very steps themselves. The path spirals, curves, doubles back upon itself. You notice thresholds you have crossed before, yet now they seem different, recognized through new understanding, met with a steadier hand and a quieter heart. Each step, each breath, each decision to remain present is a note in the endless symphony of your becoming. And now, my beloved, the declaration written in metaphorical heaven rises once more, fully, expansively. That self-trust rises like a tide that touches every hidden shore of your being. That clarity walks with you as companion, steady even in shadow. That inner authority rests within you, unshaken by doubt, unneeded of approval. That unseen resilience moves with you, visible in your choices, your steadiness, your presence. That the path continues to unfold, step by step, threshold by threshold, shaped by awareness, courage, and alignment. That you are rare, protected, guided, and capable of meeting every moment with authenticity. That every pause, every breath, every silent act of endurance has prepared you for the fullness of this unfolding. Stay, my child. Read slowly. This myth continues, because you continue. Because you honor your own rhythm, your own presence, your own awakening. In that steadfast, quiet commitment, the story lives on, timeless, symbolic, celestial, and enduringly yours. Here, the myth rests, but only briefly, because the journey of presence, courage, and alignment is eternal. And you, my beloved, are the witness, the traveler, the one who remembers. The rising season has come, of clarity, of self-trust, of resilience fully recognized, and of a path unfolding in a harmony written long ago in the whisper of heaven.